What's up, Weekend Warriors? To week 4 predictions. How are we 4 weeks in already? It feels like the season just started. Everything that you thought you knew before the draft, throw completely out. It's crazy how a guy you don't think is going to be relevant, totally relevant. Everybody's saying how old Adam Thielen is, overpaid, washed up contract, 11 for 145 and a touchdown last week with Andy Dalton throwing the football. Devon Achane injured, healthy scratch in week 2, 200 yards and 4 touchdowns in week. And the Dolphins scored 70 points. It's like, what is going on? So welcome to the NFL. It's a box of chocolates, guys, and here we are. As much as we like to read and listen and try to think we have something figured out, throw the playbook out, especially 3 weeks into the season. So here we are back again. One thing I can tell you is that the commish had a good week last week, guys. First of all, let's just start with the really, really good news. I'm 11-4 on the year, picking fantasy predictions. If I pick you to win on this podcast, you're most likely going to win based on those statistics. 4-1 last week, 4-1 the week before that, 3-2 the week before that. Just insane. A recap of last week would not be complete without me saying I went 2-0 in NFL. Minus 12.5 on the Chiefs. They won by, 60 against the crap Bears. And then Thursday Night Football, San Francisco team total over 27.5. That feels like a year ago, but that also cashed. So started off 0-4, now I'm 2-4. I'm seeing the board. Honestly, college was really good for me on Saturday. It's starting the first couple of weeks. I'm going to be honest with you. It's like reading Chinese. I was like, man, I don't really like any of these games. I kind of forced it a little bit on a couple picks. Now I'm feeling really good. So I'm going to give out some picks today. Hopefully you tail. Hopefully you win some money. Now's the time to tail. Quick recap of the games last week. Otley over Kevin. That happened. Kevin in the dumps. We'll get to him in a little bit. Terry over Valone. That happened. I predict Valone to win, and he lost. That's crazy. Chris over Pearson. That did not happen. Pearson took care of business over Chris. That was the one I got wrong. Jake over Dean. Yeah, I think so. Jake scored 229 points. Save some for the rest of us. I'm scratching and clawing over here playing Burt, trying to get to 100. Jake's, got like 15 touchdowns on his team. I don't know what the record is all time for points scored, but I'm tracking this one. 229 is probably the new benchmark. And this guy's team is ridiculous. And we'll get to that in a little bit too. And then myself over Brett, man, came down to Monday Night Football, and I was able to get it done. So thankful to be 2-1 on the year. So moving on into, let's talk about waivers. Every week I say, it's a crazy week for waivers. Maybe it'll calm down. Another crazy week for waivers. Dean, the winner of Devon Achane, for $46. And then he also got Quentin Johnson for $12. And in Dean's words, I'm spent. He spent his cash. He got some guys. His running backs are really good in this league. We'll get to that when we talk about his team. So Achane is more of an accent piece, but with some Eckler concerns, with Aaron Jones a little banged up, it's definitely a solidification. And 204 doesn't happen by accident. Garbage time, maybe. The Broncos, maybe. 204 is freaking nuts. So I think that's a good pick up there. Speaking of money being spent, Kevin, Josh Palmer, probably the funniest reel I've seen on Instagram this week is Scott Stapp saying to Josh Palmer, "Hello, my friend, we'll meet again." It's either Allen, Mike Williams, one of those guys going to get injured, and Palmer back on fantasy radar. So Kev paid up to get him, but the dude is desperate. He missed out on Ford. And he's on the cusp of going winless. Some text messages between me and Kev today. Let's see. My team's done in your league. Dead? Question mark. Last place? Question mark. Yup. Be lucky to win a game. Man. Playoffs. He is down in the dumps. And that's a good segue into our first matchup. I also had Brett texting me a few minutes ago. Eagerly awaiting you to evaluate my clear matchup of the week versus Kev. Season on the line, 0-4, a hole you can't climb out of. So Brett, maybe a little bit more optimistic than Kev. And I would agree. 0-4 in a league where only 4 teams make the playoffs, and unfortunately, with these 2 teams starting off so slow, neither one of them had many points. In fact, they are second and third last in points on the season. I'm sorry, first and second last in points on the season. Kev being about 16 points less than Brett. So let's dive into that matchup. What's gone wrong? Well, I don't want to toot my own horn, but I did say 2 Falcons pass catchers, Kev. That's going to be a problem. That combined with Gibbs, Gibbs I think is going to be fine, but he hasn't come out of the gate hot. They've been bringing him on a little slow. He's fine as an RB2, but Chubb going down, that's killed him. And then, Christian Kirk been a little unreliable. Jackson Smith and Jigba not being acclimated early. A.J. Dillon not being able to take the injury to Aaron Jones and run with it. So it's just a combination of factors. And let's be honest, Jalen Hurts, he's been good. He's the number 9 quarterback through the first 3 weeks. He has not looked the same to me. I think he'll figure it out. But that offense has had a little growing pains with some new coordinators. So, other side of the coin, what's going wrong with Brett? It's pretty easy. Justin Fields is terrible. I don't know how many more games they can let this guy start. If I see one more reel of a guy wide open and he doesn't throw it to him, or he takes his own sack, it is bad. He's worse than Zach Wilson, in my opinion. He looks lost. Your best bet with him is you hope he runs enough, but, man, it's really bad right now for him. And then Brett's running backs. Kyron's been great, but I don't think he had him in the first week when he exploded. Mixon and Najee. I mean, Mixon's okay. Najee's just a guy that just doesn't get points. He goes out there and he gets 50 yards. If he falls in the end zone, it's a miracle. Brett has some reinforcements. Barkley coming back. Kupp coming back. Deontay Johnson coming back. This game means a lot more to Brett. He's made some savvy pickups. Tank Dell, great pickup. Last week, played him against me, almost got him the W. Sutton's been good. He's putting together the glue here and the macaroni on his macaroni necklace and trying to make the best out of a bad situation. I see more promise and upside and future with Brett. I see he has more optimism. He's still plugged in. Kev's kind of laying in the ditch, and I think that Brett shoots the dead horse or horse with a broken leg in the head. Maybe it'll be reminiscent to Me, Myself, and Irene, and Kev will, try not to die for a while. But I think Brett takes care of business and just buries Kevin deeper in the hole that he's in. So that's a lot of time we spent on that matchup, but it's important. Both these teams fighting for their lives in this league, and I think, 2 guys with rich histories, 2 former champions. So it's a statement game right now. We'll see who wins. Moving on to the next matchup, let's see. I had an order that I wanted to do these in. This is a good one. We'll go with Jake and Chris. And we talked about Jake's team. Let me put this in perspective for a second, all right? Jake has the number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5 wide receivers through the first 3 weeks. That is insane. Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Mike Evans, and Devontae Adams. This was my strategy. Go 0 RB. Get the wide receivers that are star players and put up a ton of points and figure it out at running back. Jake pulled it off to perfection. Oh, and by the way, just another point of interest. He's the number 1 running back through the first 3 weeks in Raheem Mostert. Insane. Jake's got great wide receivers. Great's not even a word. Outstanding, marvelous, magnificent wide receivers to go with a upside quarterback in Lamar. If these running backs can stay healthy, he's still got Connor. He's got Cam Akers, who's going to be acclimated to the Vikings offense. His running backs are not good. They're okay. If he can get enough points, his team is going to be a problem. Now, Chris, 1-2, had a chance to win last game, gets Waddle back. He's relying on some guys that are a little volatile between Waddle and Gabe Davis and Pickens. Jacobs is not the same. I saw that their line last year was number 1 in the league, offensively graded, and now they're 31st through 3 games. It's a huge difference. Tua is great in a potential shootout against Buffalo. There is no chance I'm picking against Jake's team after 229. I'm staying in the Flames. Jake has 490 points, 60-plus more than the next person, and then 50-plus more than the next person after that. So 110 points more than the third-place guy. He's insane right now. He's on a winning streak. Look out for his team. I'm taking Jake here in week 4. Now, Moving on to another good matchup, Pearson versus Ott. I haven't picked Pearson to win many games so far this year. Actually, I think it's 0. And if I pick Otley to win, he gets mad. Pearson, pretty solid team. A couple guys on his team that are overperforming and a couple guys on his team that are underperforming. Underperformers. Derrick Henry. He might be done. Maybe he'll get hit out of the mud right now. He's actually the 15th ranked running back. I'm just looking at that. That's pretty good for as bad as he's been. 25 for 80 2 weeks ago, 11 for 20. I think I heard this summarized best the other day. He's been a good running back on a good team, and the Titans don't look like a good team anymore, so can he still get points? But Jefferson's doing what he's doing. He's the wide receiver 3. He's the one that Jake doesn't have. Garrett Wilson, underperformer, not his fault. But overperformers. Laporta, what a sneaky pick there by Pearson. Great pick for him. And I would say, personally, Amari Cooper, the wide receiver 17, but he's had some big games, and Watson has been a little bit better than I thought. They should have had another touchdown last week where the ref blew the whistle. He wasn't even out of bounds. So I think Pearson's team's on the rise. If he can get something from Henry, maybe get something from Pierce, who's been a little bit of a disappointment. He's got some ticking time bombs on his bench, and Charbonnet, who could become an RB1 at any time, and Dotson, who I still have high hopes for. So Otley, a team that's going to have reinforcements and has a good team. Mahomes, no worries there. Bijan, James Cook. His receivers, Higgins, been a volatile receiver. Ridley looked like maybe a top 5 wide receiver to start the season, first game, and then he leads the league in drops since. He's killing me. He's killing me with Trevor Lawrence in London this week. But reinforcements coming back. Christian Watson. Hollywood Brown will get a bump if Kyler comes back. Oh, and by the way, a man named Jonathan Taylor for whatever team he plays for. I'm taking Pearson. I don't think I've given his team enough respect so far this year. He does have a good team. It's not flashy. It's more solid. He's like a high floor, lower ceiling type of team, in my opinion. I think Otley's team will get better over time. He's going to be happy, I guess. I'm predicting him to lose, but I'm going Pearson over Ott here in week 4. All right, now, 2 games that are possibly the matchup of the week. I never make my matchup the matchup of the week, but I'm doing it this week. So, spoiler alert. We're going Vallone versus Dean first. Vallone, I was a fan of his team after the draft. I picked him to win a lot last year. He won the championship. I've been a little bit down on him. Talk about guys that he's chosen that have underperformed. Okay, Khalil Herbert hasn't been really the guy that he hoped he would be, right? Goddard, the number 25 tight end to start the season. Olave is great. No touchdowns, but he will be fine. But Ramondre Stevenson, another guy who he has 1 touchdown. Yeah, he has 1 touchdown on the season, but just that offense hasn't been great and their schedule's been tough. This is a battle of the big waiver pickups. Jerome Ford last week. And then Dean obviously snagging A-Chain, but he might not need him. Like I said, Aaron Jones, who's questionable tonight, is an option for him to play. DeAndre Swift, who's been ridiculous, the running back 8. And oh, by the way, Kirk Cousins, who is the quarterback 1 through the first 3 weeks, with Burrow on the bench with kind of his struggles. Thielen in a revenge game against the Vikings. CeeDee Lamb in a bounce-back spot for Dallas. ETN in London. Travis is in London. I'm taking Dean. I think that he has a good team. Michael Pittman, another guy who's been playing better, gets his quarterback back this week. Hawkinson is the number 1 tight end through the first 3 weeks. Give me Dean. I think Vallone will be in the mix. The champion got a little cocky. He was like, last week even when I picked him to lose, he was like unfazed. We gotta shake it up with Vallone. We gotta get him a little scared and keep knocking him down a peg. I'm going Dean here in week 4. And that brings me to my matchup with Terry. Not the finals matchup last year, but the finals matchup the year before. It's the matchup of the week for that reason. I was a huge underdog in that finals matchup, and I won. And yes, I will keep bringing that up because it was the best fantasy game that I've ever played in. Thank you, Tom Brady. Shout out Tom Brady, Cooper Cup. Shout out championship. But Terry's team, under the radar, because of all the talk that everybody's had about Jake's team, Terry, second place, 2-1 with 424 points scored. That's 50 more than anybody else not named Ty Freaky Hill / Jake. So Terry has been great, but he has some lows to talk about. Mike Williams out for the season. That's tough. He didn't get one of the Chargers guys on the wire. He doesn't really necessarily need him in his starting lineup because he has McCaffrey, Walker, and Montgomery. And then he has Amon-Ra, Debo, and Addison. To pair that with Josh Allen, that's a freaking good team. But he loses some depth now with Mike Williams out. Debo banged up with the ribs. Maybe I'm catching him at the right week. My team, I said, trying to do what Jake did, except my running backs, I said he had the number 1. I got the 34th, and I've been starting Tyler Algier. I got AK-41 back this week. Please, Kamara, I know you're old, but I think you'll catch passes from Jameis Winston. I think you'll catch passes from Derek Carr. Can Trevor Lawrence turn it around? And my wide receivers ain't, nothing to shake a stick at. Stephon Diggs, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf. Can Mark Andrews pick it up? Can Puka Nacua keep doing what he's doing? I'm picking myself in an upset versus Terry. I have to pick myself. It's going to be a tough one. But I think Lawrence gets it figured out. I think AK and Javonte both get in the end zone this week. Now, let's talk about my NFL picks. Tonight, Thursday Night Football. I made you guys wait till the end of the show. Packers +2. It's a Lions line. It looks weird. I'm a line hunter, but I just think they already won on Thursday Night Football out of the gate against the Chiefs. The book is respecting Detroit too much. Green Bay at home, take them. Jordan Love doesn't look good, but he gets it done. And my other pick, another team that just grinds out wins. They win ugly. Matt Gay will kick 5 field goals. Whether it's Gardner Minshew or Anthony Richardson or Carson Wentz or Matt Ryan, they're going to go out and grind out an ugly win against a Rams team that I think is trending a little bit down. Their offensive line was a little exposed last week against Cincinnati. The Colts get it done. -1.5. Book it. Boys, I can't believe we're going to be a quarter of the way through the season, pretty much. I guess there's 17 games now, but after this week. But I wish you luck, good fortune. Enjoy your Thursday Night Football. Win your bets. The commish out.